I am Shadow of Shadow Gaming, bringing you Programming with Shadow, episode 24. In today's lesson, we are going to be returning to our file browser from 2 lessons ago and adding functionality based on the stacks we used yesterday. Or not yesterday, last lesson. In last lesson, we looked at the stack and the idea of the stack data structure. You have a set of items and you put items on top, and it becomes a first in, last out situation. So the first item you put on the stack becomes the last item you can get off the stack. We're going to use C#'s built-in data structure for a stack to work with that. Let's do a recap on what we have. We have a little program. Probably should have ran it. We'll go ahead and start running it. The little program here. Give it a folder to start with. Checks if the folder exists, and then it writes out it acts like a little file browser. Gives you commands you can run. Go list the contents of a directory, change directory, go up a directory. You can show the current path, and you can exit. We did that with a linked list, so the overarching data structure is a linked list, and now we're going to add another data structure inside of it. So we have a node here. It has a parent, has a folder path. Then we have a file navigation class, and this is what does most of the actual work. Check if the directory doesn't exist before we start, so we get a good directory. Then the list contents. There's a to-do we could possibly think about doing. We'll start with dot. So ls. There we go. There's the output. We list the contents. Here's the functionality for that. We don't tell them if it's empty. Otherwise, we do some coloring. I just picked the color here, but that's what all this is doing. Error handling here in try. Next functionality we have is move into cd bin. And we can ls there. We can go back up. Or back up the dot. So yeah, I think I should do that to do as well. So keep that in mind. But we have move into, we have move up, and we have show current path. That's what we're going to focus on today is this to do. We're going to implement breadcrumb so we can see what our path is here rather than just this. All right, so let's do one more. Let's go ahead and do this one first. So do it like this. If path equals dot. So if it's dot, then this. So we don't have to use the argument. You could technically use it, but I don't find that a good idea usually. Instead of dot, let's make it path equals environment.current directory. I think that'll do it. Let's do an exit here and try. We'll do a dot. There we go. Simple file navigation. It was doing dot before, right? Yeah, contents of dot versus contents of that. I think that's better. Let's see what happens if we go down a level though. Cd bin. Yeah, I think I like that better. So there we go. There's just a quick fix. So that's one to do out of the way. There's just a quick fix. So let's go down to this last one. All right, so implement breadcrumbs. All right, so let's do this. So I believe this is, so we'll just remove this part of it. And we're going to remove the dollar sign now. All right, so let's begin. So we need a stack first. So stack's a built-in .NET data structure, and it's generic, so we can give it a folder node. Call it stack. Using system collection.generic. That's now at the top. Okay, collections. Yep. But there we go. So this is just like the stack we did yesterday. It should have the same methods. Yesterday, the last lesson, it should have the same methods, but this is built in, so you don't have to build it yourself. Sometimes there may be occasional times you'd like to build it yourself, but in general, if you can, it's probably best to use the built-in one. So let's do folder node equals current. So this is just getting the current node, whatever we're at presently. So now let's do this. Let's do build stack from current to the root. So this is where we're going to actually do most of the work. All node is not null. Do stack.push node equals node.parent. Parent can be null here, so we'll have to keep that in mind. Let's make this null. True. And then, so we'll do a while loop here. We'll do while stack.count greater than 0. So while there's something on the stack, is there an empty? No, there doesn't seem to be one of them. So there's something we added that it doesn't have, but folder node folder equals stack.pop. Get an item off. So this is decently safe because we've just made sure there's at least one in the count. So let's see. So if not first, console.write. So this is to add a separator in between. I'm going to use that for now. We might change that. Better thing might be to do maybe have a constant breadcrumb separator at the top and do it like that, maybe. Yeah, let's do that. We'll do it like that. So just in case we want to change it in the future, move the top up here. Something like that. And that way, if we want to, we can change it. Else first equals false. So that all we're using first here for is to say we don't want one of these to be on the first value. We want it to come in after. We may want to color that differently. We'll decide that in a minute. What we can do now, though, is we can add our color back. We were using blue. that's fine. Console.foreground color equals console color dot, might be dark cyan, I don't remember. Yes, we're using cyan. Okay. So do so let's do this. So path dot get path root folder dot folder path equals folder dot folder path. And we'll do console dot write and we'll trim off double slashes. And we'll do else. Let's see. Let's do dot write. We'll do path dot get file name folder dot folder path. Let's see if this doesn't do what we want. Then we need to console dot reset color. And then we need to add a new line here at the very end. I think that will do what we're trying to do. Let's give it a try. We probably should do this more incrementally than I just did. Let's see what happens. Guess I need to actually use that. Oh, current. Let's see which one. Oh, wait a minute. This may not be where I was wanting to do it. I may. So over here, if we do WD. So it's okay. Let's try this again. Now that may be that may be close enough to what I was actually wanting. Actually, let's start with equal and slash cd users cd shadow cd source cd, what's the name of this tool? Simple file creation cd bin cd debug pwd. Yeah, that looks all right actually. So let's take it the next step. Next step is I want to actually do it here in the. I think, let's see. I thought I wanted to do it absolute. I may want to do it relative to the start actually. We'll do it relative to the start. If for no other reason, that's easier. Let's go over here. Let's change this. Let's do maybe make this show current path to console dot that line get current path. the other one. No. Let's do yes, let's do it like this. Let's do string output equals this. Probably should use string builder. Be equals new. Like this. Got a pin line. We'll do it like this. Anywhere there's a console with this, let's do d.append space space on looking. May not be able to control color with it. Yeah, that won't work for controlling color. Will work. We'll go with that. We won't show color for the moment. P.append. P.append. Won't show color. We'll just do white, I guess. It's P.append line. There we go. Now, I think let's see how this does. So now, do this. Do there's my navigation. Navigation.get current path. And there we probably don't want the new line at the probably want to do it. Let's see what it does. Let's see if this does what I want. Yeah, I don't want it on new. Let's get rid of this then. Probably don't want current path there either. We go up here. It can't go up. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks all right. I want to let's get rid of current path. We'll let whoever uses it control that. Yeah, that looks so cd bin. Maybe I want to use a different prompt there now though. Yeah, you know what? Let's do it like this. Let's go this. Let's do right. We'll do space and this, and we'll move this down. I'm not liking the colors, but I'm not liking. Let's see how this looks. And we need here. Probably want a space there though. Let's see how this looks. One too many space. In general, though, that's a lot better. So where do we do it? Two spaces there. I guess what we can do is that. I guess I bet that's the space I'm looking for. Yeah, that actually looks more like what I was wanting. Might like for the file names to be colored, but maybe take a little more work. What you could do, I guess, what I could do would be instead of returning a string, return a list of strings and then join them ourselves. Maybe let's not. Let's see. Hard with that. That bad. Let's go that route. Let's do we'll do a list of string path segments. We'll do a list of string this. Let's do string.join. We'll do breadcrumb separator. I don't know why I can't remember that. Path. Here, make this adjustment. So now, remove string builder, and let's do it like this instead. I don't think I need this now. Copy that out. Segments dot add. Segments. What we're doing is incremental development. As we're building, we're seeing a little more what we want to do and adjusting for that. You can also see it as you haven't planned well enough, or you just didn't know what you wanted to do and trying to do it. We're trying that strategy out. Well, yeah, need to adjust over here. Move our path separator. Put it at the top. We'll move it up here. Now the name doesn't work. So that right here. Let's do a method string join path equals join current path, passing in navigation dot get current path. Let's use the generate method. Go. Let's do guess this actually the breadcrumb separate. I don't know if this is feeling like maybe the other design was already better, but we'll stick with this now that we're trying it. Let's do void though. Right. Display current path. It'll do a lot of this. Okay. Control C. Okay, Control C. Display current path. All right, so there's a separator. We have our list. So now console.write list 0 while now let's do for int I equals 1, I less than list dot length dot count plus and hit the right key. All right, so for each item in the list, we'll do it like this. We will console.write space space, and in the middle we'll do breadcrumb separator at a $sign. All right, so that should get us a little more what we're trying to do. And then we'll do console.write list that I. There we go. So now we can control the color. So let's do foreground color equals, I think it's cyan. And then console dot reset color. There we go. It's down here. I think that gets us what we want, and then we'll come up here. I want to navigate, but come up here to where it's used, and we will guess we will still do this, but we won't do this. Let's see what this does. See if this is what we want. Go fail. That should probably be, yeah, let's make that a string. Like that. Try that again. Not colorizing. Wait a minute. Now let's try it. I think that will get us some colorization. There we go. Now if we CD into bin, it works. CD into debug, it should also work. Up, up, up. All right, yeah, okay. Little nicer. All right, so there's us a new functionality. There is this a breadcrumb. So what we could also do is we could add some history if we wanted, something like that. Let's do that. Let's go the history route. So I do have history, something like PowerShell, like I can go back through commands I've previously run. Do our own implementation of that since we have a little bit of time. Let's do list of string history. I want to. Yeah. We read the command. Run while true. Do it before this one. History. So now when we command, so here we'll do history.add and we'll do input. So there, now when we run through, we should be able to save our input off. So what we'll need to do here though is let's adjust this. Do a read command and we'll pass in history. So now we need to be able to go back and forth in history. So we're going to do our own command. So let's add a new method down here. We'll call it private static string read command. It takes in a list of string history. So this is where we're going to do our work. So we'll have a list. We'll have a buffer here, which is just a list of characters. We'll have an index. That's where we're currently at. History.count. So we start at the current size, so we'll start at the end of it. Current index, current input equals empty string, and then int cursor position, cursor cursor start equals console.cursor left. All right, so now we'll do a while true. Read key should be a car. Console.read key. Console info key. And we'll add an intercept here. True. So this is a, did it say console key info? This is where I would normally use var because I don't necessarily know what type it is. I don't know much about the type, but I know it has a few things. So we'll do key.key. So key dot, let's do enter first. If they press enter, console.writeLine. So clear and then return use string buffer dot to array. So form up the buffer. Collection and initialization. I actually don't know if I like that one. It just spread out the buffer. We'll go ahead and stick with that, but just know that that's the same thing. So if it's the enter key, we do that. Else, if the key equals backspace, we'll need to allow backspacing. Because we're in control now, so we'll have to adjust it. So if buffer count greater than 0, so if there's characters on the buffer, buffer.remove at buffer.count -1. So we'll remove the last character. Console.write. So here's a trick you might run into occasionally. Move back, write a space, and then move back again. That's how you simulate the backspace. So /B moves back whatever the previous character was. They swaps it out and then move back to that space so you can start typing again. I've ran into that a couple of times here and there over the last few years, so might run into something like that and just know that's what that's doing. Another key, let's do up arrow. So this is the key I'm going to use to navigate upwards. I could use page up as well. Let's do it for key equals key dot page up. I'll say both of them. I say that because page up might be in a good spot on some keyboards, so it might be easier to reach. Let's do this if history dot count equals 0 or history index equals 0. Continue. So to clear a line, and we'll have to write this. Cursor start. Clear line. Do not tell me what to do. Start buffer dot count history index. We'll go and let's go ahead and add that method, or I'll never override it on me. We're going to use it here and again. Static void clear line and start int start int count. I will do console dot set position. So I don't think we've used this before. All it does is it sets where you're at in line. You give it a left and a top position, so you tell it where you're actually going. We're going to pass on a start and then a console dot cursor. We'll copy this because we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it something in the middle. Console dot write new string space count. Just like that. So that we're just using the write spaces over whatever's in the line currently, so we can rewrite it and move back to the beginning of the line. So that way, you press up, it redraws it, doesn't overwrite, doesn't add to, nothing like that. It wipes it and then moves back to the beginning, so you can start typing from the beginning again. All right, so let's see. History index -. So now we want to get the current input and make it equal to history at the current index. And then buffer equals new list of car input to car array, something like that. Oh yeah, we can use the new expressions. Again, I still don't know how I feel about that. I think I've normally seen it like that instead of how it's doing it. Maybe that makes me feel better. Yeah, that's how I've normally seen it. Maybe it's more clear to keep them separated. I'm not sure. I'll have to think of that. Console.write current input. Else if, yeah, else if key.key equals console key dot down arrow or key.key equals console key dot page down. Bet I can make that easier. We might make that console key is this or that. Might actually work. We might test that at the end if we have time. So if history index greater than or equal to history.count minus 1, history index equals history.count, clear line start, and buffer.count. Buffer.clear. Continue. I think that will about do it. So now we need to finish up. So here at the end we'll do a clear line for start and then buffer.count. Three index plus plus, we added something. Input equals history at history index. Buffer equals new. Let's do it the other way. Run input dot to car array. You can tell I haven't typed that much since I keep going for new. All right. Else, we need to handle one more case. Is control. We add the, if it's not a control character, we'll just add key dot. So if it's a control character, we don't want to do anything with it. If it's not, we just want to add it to the buffer. I think this gets us to where we want to be. Let's take it and see. So let's do .NET run. All right, so let's begin from the current directory. No, let's not. Let's begin from C. CD users, CD shadow, CD source, CD simple file navigation, CD bin. Class, so we're here. Look, I can press up and go through the list. You can see it sort of jump there occasionally. That's when it's overriding. But it seems to be working pretty decently. Very happy with that. That wasn't that complicated. There's a lot of code, but it wasn't that complicated. Got to see a lot more of the console key stuff though. So console key is just when you do a read key, it tells you what they're typing. That's why we're passing intercept here equals true. Keep it from displaying. So intercept there is pressed key is optionally displayed to the console. If that's false, I think it displays. That's like pressing up here doesn't display, but if we type, that's the last case here. It's writing it out. So we're saying, okay, overwrite that, but then if it's a regular key press, just add it to the list. So that's a history. It gives us, we can backspace over here. Backspace works. Like I said, what it does is it moves the cursor back one position. I guess that's a moves the cursor back one position, writes a space, and then moves the cursor back again. So it's really three keys at once. But it feels like a backspace to it. So other things we could do, we could make it so we can edit. Like right now, I can't go left and right. I can only backspace and stuff. So we can make that could be a future change. To do add left right navigation buffer to do. We could add tab completion. That could be a nice feature to go forward with as well. I have to think about that one. So like we're doing CD and we can just do tab and go ahead and tab to the next or the matches. That might be a good idea. Well, I'll think about that because we're out of time for this one, but that may be next lesson actually. That may be a good starting point next time. I don't think it would be that complex though, so it may not take them. I have to think. I think you would it would have there'd be some searching, like we'd have to check a directory and see what's inside. But yeah, I don't think that would be too complex. That may be where we go next, actually. We may do these two to-dos. But that's an extension of our directory structure here. So what we did, we added a breadcrumb here, and we did it incrementally. We started with something that sort of did what we wanted, but like might have wanted more. I don't think I broke PWD. Yeah, that works. And I think I actually like that not printing color better, so that may be fine as well. So what we did though is we added that. What we could do in the future would be another thing. We could make the up command actually go up. So if we weren't at the root, which in this case we're at the root, I sort of like it just starting relative to where you tell it, and that way it's in your location. I'd have to think if I actually want that you could make it so it goes up until it gets to the actual drive route. But yeah, I think that's a good stopping point. Let's recap. So we we took what we already had and we put it into a stack. And the idea with a stack is we push items. As we push them, we stack gets top or gets more stuff on top, and this is the stack. So we start here, we push this on top, push this on top, push this on top, and they go up. We have to go back and pop stuff off the stack. We push stuff on, pop stuff. We did some cleanup, some adjustments. Like I said, we did it incrementally, so we got one thing working and then did something else. I think that something else actually makes sense. You can see here it's a lot smaller. So we changed get current path here to build up a stack and get the stack off. We do a little custom handling for the drive letter. Otherwise, we just add it to the list. Then over here, to display it, we just go through the list that we created. We apply the color where we want it to be. Leave this blank. We could change this color if we wanted to. We could do other work with that if we wanted. Like if we wanted to make it green, which I thought about, but I think I like them actually being distinct. But yeah, the display is pretty simple. It's just called somewhere called here. We just give it the current path and display it. We do the color setting hitting here if it'll stop popping up. Then we decided to implement history so we could go back and forth through commands, and that's where this read command came from. Will it actually take me there? Yeah. Not using current input. Oh, unnecessary assignment. Like I thought I used current input. So the idea here was that you have a history and you have a buffer. The idea of the buffer is it's the spot where you've got current information. So as you're typing characters, they go into the buffer. The history is items is previous things that were in the buffer that have been done. So it keeps track of what you've went through already. You also have a cursor start that tells us to start way over here on the left edge of the terminal. Then we do a while true, so until we hit something that stops it like this, or this, or this. Keep on looping. So what that lets us do is let us do this read key method. It takes intercept true, so that makes it so when you type, it doesn't output anything. So if I press up here, you don't see an up arrow or the control characters that represent the up arrow. So then we do special handling for enter. We commit what we're doing. We say, okay, this is what I'm trying to enter, so we're done. Backspace, we implemented our own backspace because it wouldn't work otherwise. We grab it, we take whatever the current position is, we go back to the previous position, we write a space, and then that takes us back to the current position, and then we move back to where we just added that space. And that's how we simulate a backspace. For up arrow, yeah, page up and page down look like they work. Yeah. All right, so there. So that's up and down. All these they look complicated. It looks like there's a lot done here. All they're really doing is going up and down in the history list and writing or rewriting the terminal here. And you can see a little jump when you do it. You can see I don't know if you can see it in the recording, but when I'm typing, you can see it sort of bouncing back and forth, and that's to be expected. You might could adjust something there to make that cleaner, but it's not really worth it. The last else case here is character is control. And if it's not control, we just write it. So that means as we type, it intercepts our key. It doesn't display the key. We get to check if it's a control character. It's not. Then we just display the key. That way you can see what you type. Without this line, you wouldn't be able to actually see what you type. It would just be added to the buffer, but you wouldn't actually be able to see it, and that wouldn't be good either. In the else case, if it's a control character, we just let it drop off. So if it's a control character here, we haven't handled. If I press home or end or insert or delete, all those, nothing actually happens. We also did a little clear line method, so we use the set cursor method, just sets the position of the cursor. We say, okay, start at the left-hand side, make the entire, however many characters we do, spaces, and go back to the left-hand side. And same as backspace, that simulates clearing out whatever's on the line and rewriting it. That's how we're doing clear line. All in all, quite a bit of code, but it's not that complex to wrap your head around what it's doing. It's just wrapping your head around the code to get there. So I think this is a good stopping point. Like I said, I may very well jump next time into these two to-dos. But yeah, I think this is a good stopping point, so we'll call it there. So thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.